and he's been his co-pilot for 22 years. Inside the life of LeBron James fixer barely a month into his first season with Miami Heat. LeBron James' supernova trajectory, from the no. 1 pick in 2003 to a Cinderella run to the 2007 finals to 2 NBA MVPs, had stalled. The Heat were hovering around 500, a far cry from the juggernaut James had infamously promised when he rattled off the bevy of titles they would win, and announcing his and Chris Bosh's arrival, forming a big three with Dwayne Wade that was supposed to turn the league on its axis. But he wasn't just losing. He was lonely. His then-girlfriend and now wife, Savannah, and their 2 boys, Bronny and Bryce, were still living in Cleveland, some 1,300 miles away. His jerseys were being burned across Northeast Ohio. For the first time in his career, he was a villain, a heel. He was staying at the Four Seasons, but as Swanke's suite was, no threat count on the sheets or pristine view of Biscayne Bay would change the fact that James was living in a hotel, not a home. His mind was spiraling. His decision just a few months earlier to leave the Cleveland Cavaliers, the franchise that drafted him as a teenager to play just 45 minutes from his hometown in Akron, Ohio, already felt like the wrong one. He picked up the phone and dialed someone he knew would answer, someone who for nearly a decade had done so. His longtime confidant, Randy Mims. "I'm coming over," James told him. "I need to talk to you." It was just after 3 in the morning. Mims hardly had enough time to throw on clothes as James made the 10-minute drive from his hotel to Mims' place in nearby Coconut Grove. When Mims emerged from his front door, he found a burgundy Bentley RX in the driveway. James, just 25 at the time, had parked himself on the hood. He was crying. "I'm not sure I'm doing this right," James said. "I'm not sure I made the right decision to come here." Mims approached him. He didn't bring up how he'd moved away from his wife and family to Florida for a job with a Heat that hadn't materialized. He didn't mention being jarred from his sleep, either. He offered encouragement, asked him questions. He wasn't talking to the chosen one. He was consoling a friend, a kid who used to borrow Mims' polo uniforms when he sold pagers at King Gilder Wireless and wear them to St. Vincent St. Mary to pass the high school's dress code. "You got this, man," Mims told James. "We're going to figure this whole thing out. I get it. It's a little new for you." Mims knew exactly what to say. "It was just a lot of that was just going on in my head," James told Espino that night. "I was still young. I was questioning myself. I know I probably startled the F out of him at like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. I pulled up and I told him to come outside and I literally sat on the hood of my car. He came out and we just talked things through." Matt Carter, who was a high school teammate of James and now heads up his entertainment company, Uninterrupted, said the late-night visit was a pivot point in James' career. "Those are massive moments when you can see someone you admire, someone you appreciate their words, and someone who's enough of a good human being, but a realist to help you realize, okay, how do I handle this?" Carter told ESPN. "We've all been through things in our life, and if you're around someone who gives bad advice or handles it wrong or thinks about themselves in those moments, it can go really bad for someone." James remembers that night, and agrees. "I needed him in that moment and he came through for me," says Mims. The rest is history. From there, he took off. We never had them conversations again. When LeBron James was 18, he had a meeting with family, friends and a growing number of business associates to determine who would join him in the NBA. Mims was in. "This is how it's going to go," James said. "And he's going to be with me every day." 15 years have passed. James has made it to 9 more NBA finals, including 8 in a row from 2011 to 2018. He has won 4 championships, 4 finals MVPs and 2 more league MVPs, and he has passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the NBA's all-time leading scorer. He turned 40 last month and was serenaded happy birthday by the 4 Los Angeles Lakers rookies, including his son, Bronny, the first father-son duo to share the court on the sport. He signed a lifetime deal with Nike in 2015, and his net worth swelled over $1 billion in 2022, according to Forbes. And Mims has been there for all of it. He's the chief of staff, the hub connecting the various ventures in James' vast portfolio, now in his 3rd decade as the man behind the man. Damon Jones, James' former teammate, calls Mims the orchestrator. Damon Jones, James' former teammate, calls Mims the orchestrator. He makes sure James has access to a strong Wi-Fi signal and has a constant supply of his favorite indulgence, chocolate chip cookies with vanilla ice cream, when they travel. He carries a portable speaker to set the mood with music when James and their crew get a chance to relax in whatever corner of the world in which they find themselves. He coordinates and often attends the appointments that make it onto James' schedule, maintaining relationships with C-suite executives and juggling demands from James' innumerable brand partnerships. While Carter and Rich Paul, James' longtime friend who now acts as his agent in the CEO calls Mims the orchestrator. Damon Jones,